Ah. Suppose I should turn that on, just in case you want to hear Windows noises when it complains at me and something doesn't want to compile. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. It's better. Welcome to the stream. We do C++. But before we do C++, do I have a text? Oh, I do have a text. Let me just move on to some stuff, and that's we'll jump straight into C++ nightmare. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to share with you. No. Just double click this, and we get there we go. I don't think that's too hard to read a font. I think it should be fine. So, and I will well, if you scroll down, you can see the bottom one, Manadono SP. Twitter accounts, everybody Twitter accounts for stream alerts, and there's one embedded underneath as well, which I didn't want flooded with I'm going live stream alerts. You know how it is. For basically live Twitter shitposting, I guess, on the old thing. So if you're interested in getting stream alerts when I get live and you do not have your notification, I've just realized I can only tweet the one thing the one time with that notification thing. So actually, before we do C++, let's I got 4 things going on. So that's dquest ocho. I put it in the wrong place, edit in the wrong tweet thing. There we go. Tweet C++. We move that to the top, maybe, so I can actually read it when it's on the thing. Oh yeah, that's okay. Could probably just shorten that to dquest. Unreal. Top. Three exclamation marks for that one. This is gonna be soon to not be DMC5, but we will have one more DMC5 stream tomorrow. I'm gonna shorten that to dquest. There's no point. So we got Dragon Quest 8, we got C++, Unreal Engine, Devil May Cry 5. Oh, should be good enough for the moment. Great. Great. Just see if we do that. Everything still works. Don't want to press that. I do not want to press another alert. Anyway, thank you. Again, if you're there's something up with OBS. Is there an update or something? Has the Twitch integration changed? Something's changed. Something's weird. Let me just grab my second keyboard so I can not break my spine while I write this code. Argument passing. Yeah, we skipped writing a header file and a C file because I've already written a header file and a C file. I hope you don't mind me skipping writing a header file and a C file because I have written a header file and a C file already. I hope you understand. And I also skipped individual compilation. Because you know what? That's command line. It's a little bit BS. Visual Studio handles a lot of that for you. I'll learn it if I need to learn it, kind of thing. I'm here to learn C. I'm not here to learn compiler techniques. Oh, someone's going to shout at me saying that they are one and the same, and you should probably just try and do that. Anyway, so if you want stream alerts, you can follow the Twitter account at ManadonoSA. If you want to have your stream, if you want to have your Twitter feed filled with live shit posting, there's ManadonoSP. It did not originally stand for shit posting, but there is also a live feed to ManadonoSP underneath the video. You can see we did some test tweets. It takes ages to update. I thought it was going to be a little bit more snappy. If I post something to it, you pretty much have to refresh the Twitch page for it to actually work, which a little bit of a shame, but whatever. Anyway, with that out of the way, and recorded for the video on demand people, yes, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching recorded, all of that information is still valid. And on the YouTube VOD, I will put a link to both of the Twitter accounts so you can just click through. Hit the follow button, and you'll be notified whenever I push a notification button, or whenever I remember to. LB Custom Knives. I know you're not here. But that's the answer to the question you just asked me. Person on the internet. Let's get rid of that text and let's get on with the show. So, last week we were dealing with functions and header files. And the only reason I had moved the function to a header file is because functions have to be declared outside of main, right? Functions are declared here in the include and the using section of your program, or at least they have to be declared before they're used or something. Hey, let's throw some emojis in there. Hey, welcome to the chat room, my dude. How you doing? How's the job hunt? I hope it's good. I hope you're finding good jobs. I hope you're finding more jobs than I'm finding. We made this sucks. Yeah, it does suck. I have been in that zone for a while. Although I found, I kind of lose interest, but I lost motivation to hunt for more jobs. Do you know how to feel? Don't ever feel like that. Maintain your motivation to look for more jobs, because making your own work is real hard. So we made a program which gets real close to doing the first 100 numbers of Fibonacci, but we actually ran into a limitation of the integer built-in files, built-in variable type can only hold 4 billion. Is it 4 billion? In fact, we're not even using ints. We're using static uint64. Yeah, we're using static uint64s. We're not using longs. Oh, because a default long was smaller than a uint64, because we were using uint32s or uint16s. I can't remember. Anyway, the point is we ran into a system limitation for programming in C, and that's far beyond the scope of this particular video. But we are going to just comment out some of this code here so we can continue with whatever we're doing today, which is argument passing, which is still a part of functions. And we didn't do that for Fibonacci, but we could rewrite our Fibonacci code to take arguments. Yeah, we could ask Fibonacci. We could ask Fibonacci to return a specific value of the Fibonacci sequence, you know? Obviously not up to 100 because, again, uint64s are not... Our 64-bit unsigned integers are not big enough to hold things that big, apparently, and Fibonacci gets real big because it's an exponential function. Don't know how PCs really deal with exponents, but I understand now the problem with long-distance float precision in Unreal. Although wouldn't a great solution to that be simply to have, you know, like the array of the arrays, where you have multiple arrays stashed in multiple arrays, so that you have multi-dimensional data, so that you could have position data stored within position data rather than having simply one position data. You know what I mean? You could have a global position data and then you could have a local position data in the vulgar sense, I guess. In the specifics of having galaxy sized... I'm so confused with what's happening in main chat right now. In galaxy sized precision stuff, I'm sure you'd need a little bit, a couple more layers maybe, you know. But I mean, I don't see any reason why it would be impossible to maintain a good amount of precision using nested levels of precision, you know what I mean? And that's exactly just, you know, the thing. I guess it would probably take some programming. It would be a C workaround. It wouldn't be blueprints. It'd probably be entirely impossible through blueprints. You'd have to probably rewrite Unreal from the code that they give you on the GitHub, recompile it with that precision. Anyway, let's do the stuff at hand and not the stuff that we're thinking about. As with any variable, a particular parameter derives the interaction between the parameter and its argument. The parameter is a reference. The parameter is bound to its argument, otherwise the argument value is copied. Parameter as a reference, we say that its corresponding argument is passed by reference, or that the function is called by reference. As with any other reference, a reference parameter is an alias for the object to which it is bound. That is, the parameter is an alias for its corresponding argument. When the argument value is copied, the parameter and argument are independent objects. We say that arguments are passed by value, or alternatively, the function is called by value. So this boils down to the difference between a reference and a value. Great. Cool. So when you reference, sorry, let's not get confused with rhetoric. When you take an object which has a value and you look at it and you want to do math with it, if you want to do some mathematics with that value, using the raw value itself in a function expression, takes a copy of the value of the thing, which is that age-old C++ C example where you try and do value reassignment and it doesn't work, or something. I can't remember. Oh no, that was a different thing entirely. I've gone crazy. But if you go by what was it? There was some really good example and I've forgotten it. But basically, if you pass a reference of a thing and then you access the dereferenced thing in the function, you change the actual value of the thing, rather than if you pass the value of the thing that was the referenced in the original thing, you simply work with a copy of the value, so you can't change the original value of that. Is that a good enough explanation? Can I move on now, please? Obviously, because it's a horrible explanation, I don't really understand it. But, you know, I know there's a difference. And I know that if you pass a reference of a value, you can directly affect the value that's being referenced, rather than if you pass the value, you just get the value. So if you pass a variable, which has a... Did I just press the G key? Sorry, there was something on it. I just wanted to boop it off. So if you pass a variable which has a value to a function, the function can't change the value of that variable. But if you pass a reference to that variable, the function can change the value of the variable through the reference. Yeah, unless, of course, it's a static reference to a constant variable, which isn't a variable, it's a constant. Because you can't change constants and you can't change things through static references. Static references? Constant references? Constant references. Static is something completely different. That's a UE4 thing, again. Too much crossover. Not enough brain power. So here we go. Int n equals 0, I equals 42, int star p equals and n, q star q equals and I, star p equals 42, p equals q. P points to n, q points to I. Yes, value in n is changed, p is unchanged. P now points to I, values in I and n are unchanged. Yes. Okay, yes. Same behavior applies to pointer parameters. Star IP equals 0, IP equals 0. Star IP changes the value of the object to which IP points. IP equals 0 changes only the local copy of IP, the argument is unchanged. So yeah, if you pass a function, oh, sorry, I hit the boom. If you pass a function, a pointer to a value, you can use the pointer to change the value of the object. You can also reference the value of the object held in the pointer by dereferencing, but you cannot change the value of the object that the pointer points to by using the object. Why it gotta be so hard though? Why can't I just say green spaceman go shoot shoot? Using pointers, write a function to swap the values of two ints. Test the function by calling it and printing the swapped values. Okay. Sure, why not? I just said that it wouldn't be fun, but whatever. Sorry, I was watching today. I was watching some gameplay of Hideo Kojima's game Snatcher because I was interested in picking up Snatcher and Police Noughts. Snatcher was only... No, Police Noughts was only released in Japan. I didn't see any PAL versions of Snatcher. I'm almost certain it was only released in Japan. I didn't look that one up though. Where's the and button? There we go. There you go. Just about initializations, isn't it? I gotta get this right. Star P equals and A, right? So that's a... Do I use star P here? I think I don't. No, I think I do. What? What the hell just happened there? Oh, it's this stupid keyboard. You know what? I took this because somebody said that it worked fine. Star Q. So that should work if my brain, if I've done the thing right. Yeah. In snake int ocelot. Sure, fucking I don't even give a shit anymore. This is like shit posting for code. And it keeps taking out all my tabs. I put them there so it looked good. Why you take them out? Oh, makes me so angry. C in snake ocelot. C out. Snake. Character literal space. Ocelot. End line. Snatcher. Snake. Ocelot. Can I just copy that? Can I just copy this entire line? That should work fine, right? F5. Hey buddy, Snatcher must return a value. Ah, must it? Ah, no, fuck you. It's void. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to return anything. Fuck out of here. Uninitialized local variable ocelot used. What? $7.21. Not a comma then? One of those? Is that right? Is that okay for you now, buddy? Okay. So 2 3 2 2 3 2 3. Okay, it didn't work. It didn't work. It did the opposite of working. So Okay, I have not understood something here. Okay. Q points to N, Q points to P points to N, Q points to I. Value in N is changed. Star P equals 42. Okay. So what? That should work. That should work. The value of the object to which IP points. IP. Do I have to? Build arrows? No. Cannot convert argument 1 from int to int star. Conversion from integral type to pointer type requires reinterpret cast, C style cast, or function style cast. See declaration of snatcher. Oh, fuck you. Okay, so I have to pass it pointers for it to use pointers. But if I only pass it ints and I make pointers out of them, in the function, it doesn't want to change them outside the function. I don't get it. Wait. Wait. Yeah. Yes. We've done it. Okay, so yes. I was an idiot. I was trying to do too many steps at the same time, trying to be a smart boy. Didn't work out for me. What a shame. Who would have thought? Now it's gonna work perfectly. 4, 8, fuck off. Why it doesn't work? I don't know. Navigate to the next warning. I don't want another warning. I wanna step to the next. I can't remember what step was. I can't remember what step was. Six. Oh, no. Okay. Using initialized memory oscillator. Okay, no. How did we do this before? C in is just my bane. While C in Chahwan. No. While C in Chah. Control Z. Escape input. Oh, I don't want while C. I want a multiple C in grade. Okay. C out. C out. C out. C in. No. It's only one. Oh, for God's sake. For. Nope. Hold on a sec. Let me just haha. Let me just Visual Studio 2019 debug step forward. F5 debug stop debugging. No. Navigate code with debugger. Step through code. F11. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're setting police knots to 6. That's good. Okay. We're setting A to 9. We're setting B to 6. Police knots to 0. Okay. Okay. What? Yeah, that is how you do it. That is how you do it. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? It's when we pass over to the function. When we pass over to the function, we yeah, we need to pass it pointers. We need to pass it pointers, and then yeah, just like that. Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you, C? It's not okay with it, is it? I just no. 722. Yeah. Oh, it'll let us do that, but it won't let us do this. That's still an error, apparently. Tell us what we have to do. It won't just let us. See, the thing that annoys me is that I have to do that outside the function. Why can I not do that inside the function? Right? And then we do this. Works perfectly. Works like a goddamn dream. But we have to set the pointer outside because exactly because the function is, well, but why? I mean, I know why, but why doesn't it work? Oh, you can't even see. Terribly sorry. So before it wasn't doing that, and now it's doing that. So basically, the problem was, the ints that we were using, the ints that we were passing to our function snatcher, were that. This is exactly what the chapter was talking about, wasn't it? Passing a function by reference or passing a function by value, and we were passing a value, which was copying the value of our integers to the integers of the function, and then we were making pointers to the copies rather than pointers to the original thing. So you need to pass pointers. You need to pass pointers of the original things to the function for it to affect the original things outside the function. But that means you need to initialize the pointers outside the function, which is 4 lines of text, 4 lines of code. I don't like it. Ugh. Hold on, let me just check this chat because they're arguing. I told him to use Brasso to clean his pins, because he has pins. He says to clean. He's saying, obviously, okay, so I'm a little bit better at material chemistry than I am at C. So he's saying he's got brass pins, basically brass pins filled with epoxy, through a piece of wood, a piece of steel, and another piece of wood. It's a knife handle, okay? It's a pin construction bushcraft knife handle. He wants to restore it a little bit to how it was when he purchased it, or how it was when it was made, because he wants to sell this knife because he has no need of it. It's a bare collectible. Sadly, the knife maker who made the knife has passed away, and that's supposedly increased its face value. And Fren in the chat has said to clean it with lemon and vinegar. And putting acids next to wood. Putting acids next to wood is not cool, because wood will burn essentially under a significant concentration or exposure to an acid, because it is cellulose, and cellulose decomposes. Wow. So unless it's been cast or stabilized with some kind of resin, it's not a good idea to spray a whole bunch of acid onto wood. I mean, okay, maybe once you won't notice it, but repeated cleanings, it's not good. Okay, if you want to clean wood, soap, water, gentle brushing action, dry it immediately, and apply your favorite finishing oil, because the soap will take the oil out, basically. You could also just clean it with oil, but what he wants to clean are the pins, and the pins are brass. They've tarnished a little bit. They've got a bit of copper oxide or corrosion on the top, and of course, it's perfectly fine to clean copper or brass with a light acid to remove corrosion. The acid just sucks up the. If I remember this rightly, it sucks up the copper. It sucks up the metal component, and it frees the oxygens. That's if I remember correctly. It's been a while, but I'm sure that's the reaction. Anyway, in doing so, you get a lovely, fresh, shiny surface. But in the context of cleaning it around the materials that it is around, steel, wood, they don't. As I said, they don't react well to acid. They don't react naturally to acid, I should say. Their color will change, their consistency will change. Steel will get darker, steel will get rust patches on it, wood will get frayed and splintery, and eventually it will darken. It's not a good idea. Soap, water on the wood, oil, brush on the wood, on the steel, a soft brush, that is, not a metal bristled brush. Why am I talking about this here on stream? I don't want him to ruin his knife. I've told him, don't worry, I told him. Jesus Christ. But if you want to clean a brass pinhead or any kind of exposed metal next to wood, I personally would recommend, if it doesn't need any intense restoration, if it doesn't need changing in shape, you can go straight to your local supermarket. You can buy a tin of something called Brasso, which is a very fine polishing compound held in mineral oil in cotton wool, basically, and that will it's mineral oils and a vaporizing binder. I think it's either petroleum or alcohol. I think it's petroleum or something along those lines, hydrocarbon. So it's nothing that's going to affect wood at all. It will go into the wood. If it's mineral oil, it will remain in the wood, and it will keep it nice and moisturized. If it's petroleum or other kind of vaporizing substance, it will leave the wood as it was. It's not soap. It's not any kind of degreaser, so it will retain most of the oils in the location. There'll be some dispersant because you're going to be rubbing, and that there is going to be a solvent, so it will carry, but it won't leave the wood. That's the important thing. And it will polish the pin perfectly well. I have a guitar hanging on the wall that has a list price of, I will have to tell you now because it's important, four-figure list price, and Brasso does not hurt the fretboard if you polish the frets. I've done this twice. I've done this to all the guitars, in fact, hanging in the room, and it has not done anything. It doesn't affect, I guess to a small degree, it would affect a lacquered fretboard. So I guess I should probably mask that off when I do that next time. But open pore, open grain, natural oiled woods does not affect it at all. And it's really good for polishing frets. It's really good for polishing any metal in contact with wood. Lacquer is another thing. I didn't really think about that when I did those, did I? Brain. Maybe they were still taped off when I did them. I hope they were. I'm doubting my own process. Back to C++. This is stressing me out so badly. It reminds me of that anecdote of the guy who sees the beautiful Chippendale wood furniture in a barn and says, "Hey, buddy, you got some ramshackle garbage in there? Can I buy that?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't have any use for that. Sure, you can buy that. Come by tomorrow and pick them up. Don't worry about it. What's it for?" And so, "Oh, yeah, it's just firewood, He says he wants them for firewood. Okay." So the guy leaves, expecting to pick up a bargain on these Chippendale furnitures, and he comes back the next day, and the helpful barn keeper has chopped all of the furniture into firewood splints. I don't know where I was going with this anecdote. C++. Using pointers, write a function to swap values of 2 ints. Test the function by calling it and printing the swap values. We did that. Did I scroll up by accident? Passing arguments by reference. We didn't do that, actually. Well, we did do that, but we didn't do that. It was write a function, right? Yeah, write a function. So we've got a function that swaps the value of 2 ints by passing pointers to those ints. Is that good enough? Is that okay? So I don't think that's good enough. Really, you'd ideally want a function that takes 2 ints and gives you the 2 ints in the opposite direction, but it's impossible, right? You'd have to have a function inside a function. And then you'd have to return those things, and then you'd have to assign them here. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm sure someone in the chat is going to be like, "You're an idiot. It does work. Just do it this way. Here's 18 lines of code that makes it work." That's what usually happens. So scrolling down, passing arguments by reference. In n equals 0, I equals 42, and r equals n, r equals 42, r equals I equals r. Okay. Can rewrite a reset program from previous versions to take advantage of a pointer. Function that takes a reference to an int and sets the given object to 0. But we'd have the same problem when writing the function prototype. When applying the function, when calling the function in our script, we'd still have to pass it a reference rather than the actual int. And this is what's annoying me. This isn't what we have functions for, god damn it. We have functions to move code that you would normally have in the main body of code to a second page where it's easily accessible large pieces of... This is why I collapse things to macros and functions in Unreal, right? We have a whole fucking spider nightmare of blueprint, and you select the stuff, macro, function, whatever, and you have your inputs and you have your outputs, and it's just one block. It's simple, it's concise, it's descriptive of what it does, and it takes up much less screen space, so the code is legible. Right? That's why we have functions, right? But if functions don't work where you can pass them an int, make a reference to that int because it's actually passing a copy of the value held in the variable that you gave it, he's talking about stuff. He couldn't resist it, and then he's got to sell it. He's trying to make it look good for the listing, which is very tricky when you're working with wood. When you're working with steel, it's like how do you even photograph subsurface scattering or chatoyance or reflectivity without having, you know, like the perfect setup? It's tricky. It's a very difficult thing to do, and it's why all my photographs on Instagram look like ass. Int j equals 42, reset j, see out j, what? Hang on. Whoa. Yeah, it's void. Okay. We're going to do this again. Void. I don't know why that was in brackets. Didn't need to be in brackets. Have I made it too long? In fact, you know what? We can just do A. Vengeance equals A equals B equals revengeance. Yep. Right, okay. So now this should swap them back again, right? It hasn't thrown up an error yet, but if I press F5 and it gives us that goofy boom sound. Oh. I get it. 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 Sorry, it's off screen again. It keeps popping up slightly off screen. There you go. Yeah, there we go. So we type in 69, it gives us the values of snake and ocelot, it reverses them, and then it reverses them again. Check it out. I can write code. I can write code. We can all write code. Everyone can write code. Code is real simple. Real easy peasy, simple beasy. So we don't need any of this when we're doing this. We only need this to do this. How's that? I feel happy that you have no idea how fulfilling that was. Using references to avoid copies can be inefficient to copy objects of large class types or large containers. Moreover, some class types, including IO types, cannot be copied. Functions must use reference parameters to operate on function of objects of a type that cannot be copied. For example, we'll write a function to compare the length of two strings. Because strings can be long, we can avoid copying them. Make our parameters references, because we're comparing two strings. Strings does not involve changing the strings. We'll make the parameter references to const. Ah, beautiful, of course. If you make a function with references to consts, you physically cannot change them, which is great for preserving the integrity of data that you put into your function. Isn't that great? Can't even accidentally mess them up. And that's wow. Return SL S1.size is less than S2.size. Wow. That's so succinct. What a great function that is. That's amazing. Function can only return a single value. However, sometimes a function has more than one value to return. Reference parameters let us effectively return multiple results. As an example, we'll define a function named findChar, return the position of the first occurrence of a given character in a string. We'd also like the function to return a count of how many times that character occurs. How do we define a function that returns a position and an occurrence count? We could define a new type that contains the position and count. An easier solution is to pass an additional reference argument to hold the occurrence count. That's cool. So you pass it a value. You pass it a value and then it increments that value while it does its thing. Okay, 611, write and test your own version of reset that takes a reference. Nah. It's easy beat. It just sets a thing to 0, okay? We already done a thing here that does more than that, okay? So we're good for that. Rewrite the program exercise 610, page 210, which is Snatcher. Use references instead of pointers to swap the value of two ints. Which version do you think would be easier to use and why? Okay, so Metal Gear Solid is much easier to use than Snatcher because huge slam. Because you don't have to initialize pointers outside the function to use Metal Gear Solid. You can just plug in the ints. It takes them by reference, swaps them around, and in fact, the code for it is slightly smaller. In fact, the code for it could let me just delete that. That's extraneous. We can initialize it when we make it, right? That's fine. But it's a whole line. Oh, it doesn't need that either. The code is the same length. Fuck off. We only had it setting it to 0, so nothing funky happens in the meantime, you know? It's fine, don't worry about it. They are essentially the same code, really. But one of them uses reference inputs, the other one uses pointer inputs. So there you go. I probably misunderstood something about this exercise and done it completely wrong, but that is the be-all and end-all of it. Metal Gear Solid is easy to use because you can just supply the raw data to be swapped. Snatcher requires the input of pointers. 613, assuming t is the name of a type, explain the difference between the function declared as void ft and void ft_and. Void ft_and. You don't mean void f and t, right? T_and. Oh, it's the name of a type, right? It needs a variable name. So ft receives a copy of the value held by the name of t, whatever it is, and void ft_and receives a reference to the value held in that variable that it is passed, which means that you can directly alter the code, not the code, the value of the variable passed to void ft_and, which is what we did here, which makes it easier to use but also more dangerous. Give an example when a parameter should be a reference type. Give an example when a parameter should not be a reference. Don't know, really. Seems like parameters should really always be references. Parameters should be references when the data types that you're working with need to be changed in the main program. Your function does not need to return anything. Your parameters should be reference types if you want to return more than one thing, or if you want to change more than one value in your return thing. Your parameters should be references when your data types that you are sending to your function are large, weighty, hard to copy, or impossible to copy. And they should be not references, they should be copies. I'm starting to see there being no advantage to just sending a copy of the value. I guess if it's a lot of pure maths and you're just going to assign the return value at the end of your function, it would be fine to send them as copies because they would essentially just be numbers. And PCs do numbers pretty well. It's a small data type. It's easy to move. It's easy to copy. It's easy to work with. You should not send a reference to your data type if you don't want to change the data that you're sending to the function, although you can use const to send the data as a constant reference, which will not allow you to change the values anyway. If you were going to be doing something with those values, it might be easier to use just regular references because you don't have to worry about setting up a constant reference. You can just take the values and use them as copies. Again, mostly maths, mostly simple stuff, I guess, maybe. Give an example of when a parameter should be a reference type. Give an example when a parameter should not be a reference type. Didn't we just do that? We did. Explain the rationale for each type of each of find char's parameters. In particular, why is s a reference to const, but occurs is a plain reference? Why these parameter references, but the char parameter c is not? What would happen if we made s a plain reference? What if we made occurs a reference to const? So, okay. S is a reference to const because we do not want to edit the string that we are passing to the function that we are... Sorry, I didn't explain the code to this, but if you're following along in the book, C++ Primer, version 5, we are on page 212. The code was on page 210. It's a function that looks through a string and returns the first instance of a character supplied to the function, and then a count furthermore of the usage of that character in the string. So we don't want s to be a reference because we don't want to edit the string that we're passing to the function. We don't want it to be a copy either because s, being a string, can become largo, and it's much easier to work with the values already in memory than it is to copy them into memory again. As I'm sure you're aware. That's stupid. We don't do stupid here. We do smart. Occurs is a plain reference because we do want to change that. Occurs is the incremental counter for how many times the character that you supply to the function occurs. If it was a reference to const, we wouldn't be able to increment it, and you probably wouldn't even be able to compile the code. Simple as. Because it would say you can't increment a reference to const because it is a constant and can't be changed. If S was a plain reference, not much would be different. However, there is the potential to change the string by accident, by error, memory overrun, whatever. So it's probably not good. Occur wouldn't compile, and C isn't a reference parameter because it doesn't need to be edited. It is only a character, so it's a very small piece of data, and copying it is a-okay. When we use parameters that are consts, it's important to remember that the discussion of top-level consts from 243, page 63, as we saw in the section of top-level consts, is one that applies to the object itself. Yeah. So basically, you can have a constant reference to a non-constant value, which allows you to reference the value, but it does not allow you to change the value. That's a top-level const. Right? I remember that from 30 weeks ago. Wow. Something sunk in. It's funny. I just want to break off on a small tangent. And the OBS stats window, the stats pane, is a very low frequency of updates recently. I don't know what it is. Like, the time doesn't update for like 20 minutes on end. The viewers don't update for like 5 or 6 minutes. I don't even know about anything else on that pane. Did anyone clip this? Yeah, we can initialize an object with low-level const from a non-const object, but not vice versa. Correcto. Wait, what? You can't initialize an object with a non-const from a low-level const. You sure about that? We can initialize an object with a low-level constant from a non-constant object, but not vice versa. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I don't think that. I mean, it's obviously correct. It's in the goddamn textbook. What? We can initialize an object with a low-level const from a non-constant object. I don't think you can. I thought that was the whole thing about consts. You can't initialize a const or a const type thing from a non-const because dynamic initialization of constant variables from variables is illegal. That was the whole thing. Or am I getting this wrong? They're not, because consts aren't initialized at runtime. They're initialized at compilation. I thought that was the whole. It's high-level consts, right? That can be wacky and zany. Or have I got the two words mixed together? It's a high-level const. Actually, the object is a const, and the reference cannot be a const. But the reference not being a const to a constant thing can lead to bad things. You can't do that, can you? That's an illegal operation. You can have a constant reference to a non-const. You can have a constant reference to a const, but you can't have a non-constant reference to a const because it has to be the same. It's like I'm using the same 4 words to make like 8 different sentences, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It's very confusing. If anyone knows why C++ has to be this confusing, send an email to me. Exactly the same initializations apply to parameter passing. Can't initialize an int star from a pointer to a constant int object. Correct. I think I may have missed something here. So I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm not even gonna worry about it. What I am gonna worry about is how long I've been doing this. See, the timer on OBS hasn't updated in half an hour. That's kind of unacceptable because I've just lost track of time completely. So I'm gonna scoot down to the bottom of this section. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm gonna end. I'm gonna pretend like I read and understood all of this stuff about initializing functions from constants and not being able to initialize constant pointers to non-constant int ref. Fucking, I don't even give a shit. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. I've done enough. See, next week we'll be doing array parameters. Yeah, next week we're going to do array parameters and some of the there's a whole bunch of questions underneath there. So that's all fine and dandy. So for anybody who was not here at the start of the stream when I showed off my beautiful Twitter feeds, let me just throw them back up on the screen there. Boom. We have 2 Twitter accounts for this Twitch channel because I'm baller, and one just wasn't enough. We have Manadono SA for stream alerts, and we have Manadono SP for it's a live stream that's on the page just below the video. You can see we have test posts and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna try my best to remember to hit a stream alert button on my streamer deck when I go live, so you'll get a nice tweet with a link to the channel, so you can click that on your phone, your PC. You can watch direct. Easy, simple as. If you don't have notifications turned on the Twitch platform, which I don't mind, I know how annoying it can be to get 1,000 notifications from everyone you follow. You can follow the Twitter to get Twitch notifications on Twitter instead. Haha. I just thought it would be helpful to have that as a function, to have that as a way into the channel. Because I know some people they click off a thing, they can't find the thing, and then they go to the thing and it's gone. And this is a very small channel on the grand scale of things on Twitch. So I understand that I get buried underneath everyone, all the professionals, and that's why we have the Twitter, because I have even fewer followers on Twitter. Anyway, we did it. We did our functions. We made our functions with pointers. We made our functions with references. We made our functions with ints. We're doing all the good stuff. Next week, as I said, array parameters, which is functions, I think, with array parameters, parameter arrays. Who knows? And then some exercises based on consts and arrays again, I guess. So thank you very much for tuning into the live video. Thanks for watching the video on demand. If you watched the video on demand, Twitter accounts if you need them. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.